Hello everyone, this is Professor Robert Solis. Welcome to this video lesson. We're going to continue talking about the structure data type, which basically is giving you the opportunity to create a collection of various data types, various items. So for example, a textbook is going to be a collection of a title, author, publisher, year, edition, ISBN number, and those items will be something. For example, the title will be a string, the author will be a string, the year will be an integer, the ISBN number will be a string, so forth and so on. Maybe I can even put price, right? So let's add to this, say for example, and I put price. And that's going to be of type double, so forth and so on. How do I do that in C#? How do I create a structure? So I just finished working on this lecture. Let me go ahead and save my work, and I can just keep this up here and create another instance of Visual Studio here. So I'm going to go down over here, Visual Studio 2017. This is just another instance of Visual Studio 2017. So if you were a student just learning about structures, you can go back and forth with this particular instance and the instance that you have over here that we did in class. So what my goal is going to be is to create a structure, and this will be a structure that we're going to call textbook. And it's going to have a bunch of items, and those items are going to be listed just like I have over here in my list or description of what a textbook is. Okay, so here we are, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. So I'll go File, New, and then Project. I want to verify that this is in fact a C# program. Okay, so C# is selected. Windows Form application, that's fine. In terms of the name, I'm going to type in C#, and we'll say this has to deal with structures. And specifically, I'm working with a structure that is going to contain a bunch of textbook information. So I'll just say textbook. So C# structures text box, that'll be the name of my project. And then I'm going to drag and drop a button, label, and a text box to the form as I give this thing a definition of what we want it to be, which is clearly going to be a listing of all these various properties for the structure textbook. All right, you know what, this thing is really slow, so I think what I'll do is I'll close the other instance that I have here. Maybe that'll speed it up. So I'll just simply close that, and let's see if that's going to speed it up a little bit. Something going to happen now? There we go, finally. Okay, so I'm going to open up the toolbox, and I'm also going to open up the properties panel. Have that readily available. And my intention is to drag and drop a button, a label, and a text box to the form. So here's a button. Here is a label. And finally, a text box. So I'm going to take these items, I'm going to make them 12 points. So I'll go to the font property, and then size, I'll make them 12 points. I need to increase the width of the form, so let me open this up a little bit. And I think what I'll do is I'll just simply put the label up here. And let me switch back to my application here, and it looks like I'm going to need the title. So I'll just simply put for the text property, we'll say title of the textbooks, of the textbook. And actually, you know what I should do? Instead of typing title, I really should pick the item that is the longest, and then I'm going to copy and paste. So let's see here. It looks like author last name or author first name is probably the longest property. So let me change that instead of title, I'll say author first name, colon. Then I'll put the text box next to it, like this. I'm going to give it a little bit more space so that the user has some space to type in the information. And then I'm going to put a label over here. So I'll just take this label, copy and paste it. Now, I need that to be the same size as this text box. So before I do anything else, I'm going to make this auto size false so that I can resize it. I'll say border style fix single. So you can see here it has a single border around it. So remember, source, destination. Source, that's going to be my source. Shift, that's my destination. And I'm going to make them the same size. So I can really drastically show you, drastically show you the difference here. For example, here, clearly that label is not the same size as this. So I select the source, hold down Shift, select the destination, click this guy over here, and now this guy is made the same size as. So I'll just simply adjust it, something like this, like that actually. I'm going to get rid of that text property. Now I can take these three and copy and paste. And how many of these do I need to create? Well, according to my design, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. So I have 2 right there. Let me just go ahead and select these, copy and paste. And I'll position those right here. And I'll take these guys, copy and paste, and that will give me a total of 8 items. And then I'm going to have to rename the items or give them a different text property. All right, so let's say that I want it in this order. So I want the title. So over here, I'll change that text property to title. Actually, let me put a colon at the very end. And then I'll move this so it's right next to that text box, like that. The next item is first name, author first name. Okay, I've got that. Then author last name. So I'll change that word first to last name. Then publisher. So this guy over here, and make that the publisher. And then I'll move that into place. Looks good. And then I have year. This guy will be the textbook year. And then I have edition, and then ISBN. Okay, so this is going to be edition. And then this will be the ISBN number. And then finally, what is the price of the book? So we'll change that to price. And then I'll move all of these labels closer to the corresponding text box, like this. Now that I have all these items in place, I can take that button, and I'll resize the button, and I'm also going to change the text property. So we'll just simply say submit. And the goal of this program is to take all of the information that was entered by the user and to place it into the corresponding label. So I'll resize the form. I'm going to get rid of the minimize and the maximize box. And I'm going to change this instead of form 1, so let me select that. So instead of form 1, we'll say textbook information. So text box or textbook information. Let's save my work, and now I have to give names to the various items. So over here, I'll say txt title, which means that this guy over here is going to have to be LBL title. And we'll do the same thing for the rest of the items. So I'll say LBL. Instead of just putting author first name, I think I'm just going to put first name. I could have typed in, I said LBL, sorry, TXT. I could have put in author first name, that's fine. And then this guy over here is going to be LBL first name. This will be TXT last name. LBL last name. This is going to be the TXT publisher. LBL publisher. This will be the year. LBL, I'm sorry, let's keep on doing that. TXT year. And then over here, that'll be, oops. All right. I hate doing this, but I'm glad I'm doing this during the video lesson. I accidentally double-clicked that label. I double-clicked this label right here. All I wanted to do is to single-click it to change the name. So I have to recover from this. So I don't want that method, so I'm going to remove it. But as a result of moving it, when I go back to the design view, it's going to indicate that there's an error, that this doesn't exist. So the way that you recover from this is I just simply double-click on that error, and it tells me, oh, you've created a label, but it doesn't have this. It doesn't exist because I just erased that one particular function. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase all of this. For this label 15, I'm going to erase all of this information. Or actually, I don't have to erase all of it. I can just simply erase this guy right here. But I haven't even given it a name, so I really should remove all of it because it's not going to be label 15. It's going to be LBL something else. So I will get rid of it. Then when I go back over here to the design, then I can see my label is, I don't think it's removed. I think what the problem is it's just located somewhere else here. So let's see here. If I click over here and hit tab, I'm just clicking tab until I can find that label on the screen, or I may have to even just drag and drop a label. Let's see. Nope, it's gone. Oh, there it is. So that's a good lesson for you. Do not do that stupid mistake that I just did. This guy right here, there's the label. So now I got to go back over here to properties, and I got to do this business of saying, first of all, this thing is LBL year, and it's auto size false, border style fixed single, and then I'm going to just simply, actually let's do the resizing business. So source, and then shift destination, make it the same size, unselect, and let me move this back into position like that. So shame on me, right? Try not to double click. Okay, so that's TXT year, LBL year. This will be TXT edition. This guy is going to be LBL edition. TXT ISBN number, and therefore LBL ISBN number. TXT price, and finally LBL price. This will be our BTN submit button. So let me just go over these various items. I'm going to hit tab. So I'm looking over here. That's TXT title, LBL title. This label, I don't care about that. So TXT first name, LBL first name. Good. TXT last name, LBL last name. Publisher, yep. Year. Oh, wait a minute. This is LBL year. This guy right here, yep, that's LBL year as well. And then TXT edition, LBL edition. TXT ISBN, LBL ISBN. TXT price, LBL price. And then LBL year. This guy over here, BTN submit. Let me save my work. Double click the submit button. And I don't need this designer anymore, so I'm going to close that. And now I have an area where I can type in the code for my program. But before I do that, I'm going to go outside of any function, and I'm going to create a structure. So you type in struct, and the name of our structure is going to be textbook. Now, it's going to have various members. So I type in public string. The first member it's going to have is the title. So we'll call this title. And I'm going to have a bunch of other items here. So I might as well just take this guy, copy, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the title is 1. It looks like the first and the last name. So I'll just simply say first name, double click last name. What else do I have? The publisher. Okay. The publisher. Now, this next item right here, the year is an integer. So for the year, I have to make sure that this type is an integer. And then I'll type in year. Over here, this is also an integer, the addition. So that's going to be an integer and addition. And then we have the ISBN number, which is a string. Okay, so I can just leave that as is, ISBN. And then finally, we have the price, which is going to be of type double. So I got to make sure that this says double, and that'll be the price of the textbook. And that's it. Here is your structure. Now you can create many instances of this particular structure. So the way that I'll do that is I'll go over here to your BTN Submit click. I'll say declarations. So in the declarations section, what I can do is I can create, first of all, I'm going to create a textbook. Right, that's what this thing over here is. I'm going to create a textbook. And I'm going to give it a particular name. Okay, so this is going to be a computer science, let's say 01 textbook. Well, now that I've created that computer science textbook, I can go ahead and populate it with data. So over here, I'll say get user input. So for the get user input, I could say computer science textbook dot, and then I get a listing of all the various items. So I'll just simply start from the very first item. So over here, that's going to be the title. So dot title. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, whatever is inside of that txt title text box, put that directly into the structure item. Computer science dot first name, which is the author's first name. Again, we're going to get that from the author's first name. So I type in txt first name. Computer science dot last name. That's going to be obtained from txt last name. Computer science dot publisher, we get that from txt publisher. We are also going to get the year that this thing is published. Okay, now here, this is an integer. Let me do this again. Dot year. That is an integer, so that means that I'm going to have to convert dot to int 32. Then, inside of the parentheses, I can say get the txt year and convert that into an integer so that I can place that into the year member. Okay, let's also get the addition, which is also an integer, as you can see over here. So we're going to have to once again do the convert dot to int32, and then whatever the addition is. What else do we have after addition? The ISBN number. So the ISBN number looks like that's a string because an ISBN number can have numbers or letters. So no conversion is necessary. I'll just simply say ISBN. Finally, we have the price. So the price, as you can see here, is a double. So this time we're going to have to convert to double. Then I'll get whatever is inside of the text box, which is txt price dot text, and I'll put that into the price. So we've obtained all of the user information, and so now I can output the information to these labels. In other words, we're just taking this stuff that was typed and putting it into these labels, but we're using a structure for that. So that means that LBL title dot text is going to be whatever computer science dot title is. For the first name, LBL first name dot text property is going to be whatever computer science dot first name is. So you can see here, this makes it really easy to get all of the members of a particular instance of a structure and place them into each of these different labels. For the LBL publisher, again, I'm just taking this particular instance of a structure, and I'm going to get the publisher, which is already a string, and put that into here. Now here with the year, I got to be careful. So LBL year, that is a whole number. So I'm going to have to convert to a string whatever computer science dot year is, because the year, as you can see here, is an integer. I take that integer, convert it into a string, so that way I can put it into the text property of LBL year. Same thing with addition. Addition is a whole number, so I'm going to have to convert that to a string. So we'll say computer science dot addition. We have the ISBN number. That's a string. So for the LBL ISBN number, I can just simply assign it to whatever computer science dot ISBN number is, because as you can see, that's already a string. Finally, in terms of the price, so LBL price, you know what I'd like to have for the LBL price? I'd like to have that with a dollar symbol, and then whatever the dollar is, dot, and then whatever the coin amount is. So I think what I'll do is this, a little bit different. I'll say computer science dot price dot, and I'll say toString, and for the toString, I'll make it so that it's currency format. So I put a open and close quotation mark with the letter C in there, and that means display this thing as a currency. So it's going to display it with the dollar symbol and a decimal point with two numbers after the decimal point. Let me save my work, and let's see what happens. Yeah.
So always a dollar symbol?
Now that's a really good point. If I'm in Europe, it's the euro sign. So it depends on the localization of this program. Based on where you are located, it will give you the appropriate symbol. So here, it'll say the dollar symbol. In Europe, it'll have the euro symbol. And then whatever the other currency types in the various other countries, it will show that particular symbol based on the localization. All right, so I'll run the program. Give it a couple seconds here while it builds it. It's successful, that's good, so it should come up any second. And then let's go ahead and start entering data. So let's say that the title is Intro to CSharp. And Robert Solis, let's say that Cengage is the publisher, and it was completed in 2018, first edition. The ISBN number is, I don't know, 9. I'm just going to make something up here. Something like that. And this thing sells for $15. When I hit submit, all of that information is transferred over And notice that for the price that we have, $15 is in currency format with the dollar symbol and the two numbers after the decimal point. Looks like I got to fix this guy here, the font size. That's because I accidentally deleted the label. I forgot to, when I reestablished it, to change that size to 12 points. And that's it. So this is Professor Robert Solis. I hope this video lesson was helpful. Have a good day. See you next time.